Mayor and Vice Mayor and all City Council members. At this time, we're going to have our time of prayer and invocation. Please bow your heads as we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for this day that is a God-given day. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for each of the council members that you have appointed for such a time as this. We pray, Father, for your continual blessing to be upon them. We ask for your wisdom and your guidance to lead them in every aspect. We give you praise and we give you glory. Be with us this evening. Bless this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Jenny, could you please take the roll?
Yes. Mayor Keith Kehoe.
Here.
Vice Mayor Barbara Gaines.
Here.
Councilmember Amy Jo Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Michael J. Cox.
Here.
Councilmember Stephen Shilkowski.
Here.
Interim City Manager Tim Maslow.
Here.
Interim City Attorney Richard Geller.
Here.
Sergeant at Arms Chief Sean Ramsey. City Clerk Jenny Wright here.
Thank you, and we have a quorum. We'll move on to guest speakers, announcements, and presentations. We have a few this evening, and we'll start out with one I'd like to personally talk about. We have somebody here in the audience, I think. We just finished up a graduation ceremony. Oh, there you are, back there. Principal Missy Frana is somebody that's very important to this community. She has taken our middle school, the Gators, to new heights. We're waiting on the new scores, but we expect them to be up there close to an A. I mean, and that's a long way from where it was when she came and took over. We had discipline problems there. We don't have them anymore. She took everything and worked on the cause, not just the problem, worked on the cause. I almost cried when I heard that she's going to use her talents in another county called Sumter County and go over and help them out, because she is a spark plug here in this community. We have what we call a Principals Council. I see several of them in the audience this evening. And she is always up front telling us, encouraging us, cajoling us, getting us to go down the right path. But it is it's a sad night for me, but it's a great night for Sumter County. But we didn't want Ms. Frana, Principal Frana, Missy, to leave without a little token of our appreciation. So if you could come forward, Ms. Frana. Can we all go out?
I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, but I just want to thank this community because, you know, this is very meaningful, but gosh, I'm going to get screwed up. I love that school, and it's a great school, and thank you. Sorry, guys. Just thank you so much for believing in me and for just being a positive influence as a community. I'm thankful for all that, the community vibe in this place is special, and I will sing its praises forever, so thank you.
Next recognition is it's quite unusual, and I hope I can do it justice. We have a gentleman by the name of Alex Bass. And I received this email about a week ago about a lady that lost her parrot. her parrot from 15 years. She'd owned this parrot, a beautiful, very rare parrot. She was on 1,200 acres and couldn't find the parrot. One day she looked up, and on the top of a 100-foot oak tree was her parrot. She called everybody. Nobody would go up in that 100-foot oak tree and take this parrot down. This young man did. He spent 5.5 hours out there to rescue this parrot. Beautiful. I wish we had had a picture. Beautiful blue parrot. But it just shows when we talk about connectivity and heart, it's part of our values here in Groveland. This exemplifies it. So I'd like Alex Bass to come forward and get a recognition for his. Thrive Summer Pop-Ups. Okay, next we have a presentation on the annual Thrive Summer Pop-Ups here in Groveland. And we have one of the most dynamic speakers in Central Florida to let us know what Thrive's doing.
Hello, I'm Sherry Lewin with Thrive Claremont, and I am from Claremont, Florida. I have with me some of our Teen Advisory Council members. We'd like to open to give everyone a good overview of a video that our teens produced this semester to honor our 10th anniversary. And they did it under the mentorship of J. Brian Miles of South Lake TV. So if we could just direct everyone's attention, we'll just watch the short video.
That's a nice picture.
It's coming eventually.
Buffering. I'm always talking faster than people can hear. Solutions for my own students, ages 13 and 15. I was trying to find opportunities for them to find mentors and advance. And finding that our community lacked those resources, I decided to start Thrive Claremont with community-based solutions for teens. Thrive offers a variety of educational, recreational, and leadership programs for teens. From Thrive's first Teen Advisory Council meeting of 10 students in April 2016 to our current year-round program calendar serving over 800 students, we have been keenly focused on our mission of empowering teens to succeed.
Students who participate gain valuable knowledge and skills across events such as Thrive Summer Pop-Ups, which are held in June each year. Here, community members lead activities such as fishing, gardening, crochet, self-defense, culinary, and much more. Throughout the school year, Thrive hosts workshops and events that support career and college readiness for high school students. Thrive's Leap into College online series, our Work in the Trades event, and our popular car buying personal finance workshops prepare today's teens for success tomorrow. And for students interested in leadership, our Teen Advisory Council offers the opportunity for students to serve alongside adult mentors. This gives a voice to the needs of teens and grows opportunities that empower them to succeed.
I joined Thrive Claremont in 2023, and it has given me educational experiences that most schools don't offer. I have attended lectures that taught me about auto insurance, learned how to set up for events, and participated in earthday cleanups. All in all, Thrive has taught me useful things for my future, including event planning, public speaking, and more. Everything at Thrive even looks good on your resume.
As a former TAC member, I feel like the most memorable part of being on TAC, what I've grown stronger in, was my communication skills, my fundraising ability, and my overall general charisma. These skills that I've learned will help me clearly communicate my ideas to others and help me in the long run with my future business plan.
The program's success is dependent on many community and business leaders who share their time and talent with the students. This brings real-world wisdom to our curriculum.
Hi, I'm Roxanne Brown. I'm the manager at the Claremont Historic Village, and we've been supporters of Thrive for many years, helping them with their summer programs and other events, and we're really proud to be even a small part of it because of the impact that it has on local students in the area. One of the biggest benefits of Thrive is that it doesn't only impact the students, but it also impacts the organizations and businesses that they get involved with. And that's like a win-win for everybody because they're going to be the ones that later are going to be the future leaders of those organizations.
Since 2016, our program has empowered over 4,000 students, and we're excited to see what the next decade brings.
Very nice.
Thank you. So the students wrote the script and made the videos and picked out all the B-roll, and it was a real collaborative effort, which is part of what it means to be on our Teen Advisory Council. So I wanted to let Valeria tell you a little bit more about the TAC.
Good afternoon. My name is Valeria Gutierrez Paez. I live in Claremont, and I wanted to say that Thrive is all about planning, promoting, and executing events that help teenagers thrive in their community and engage with their community to learn essential skills that are going to help them with their future endeavors, whether they want to go to college or whether they want to join the labor force right away. Personally, the TAG and Thrive has helped me a lot with my communication skills and my planning skills. So I think that Thrive has helped a lot of teenagers out there, and I think that is such a great opportunity for me and for everybody out there.
So hi, my name is Mira Patel, and I'm from Montford. I wanted to speak today about the Work in Trades event, which we hosted back in fall of 2025, and we had a partnership with the city of Groveland. And so with our partnership, we were able to secure a venue space at the Nathaniel Community Gymnasium. We also featured 20 employers, as seen on the screen, along with trade schools to help high school students be involved and become more aware of opportunities in the community. We had 136 registered students at the event, along with their families, and we are working to plan the next Work in the Trades event with the City of Groveland in the spring of 2027.
Hello, I'm Morgan Owens, and I'm talking about the summer pop-ups that is coming up in a few weeks. It's June 9th and June 16th, and it's an opportunity for students to go out during the summer, which is one of the hardest times to talk to people, and go meet other teenagers and also learn about a bunch of new events or type of things or interests that they may have. I'm personally excited for the crochet one and the police one. Those are the two that I signed up for. But this is especially important because social isolation is so dangerous for teens. I think it was the U.S. Surgeon General that came out with a study saying that social isolation was as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So this really does give the opportunity for teens to socially connect over the summer, which is the hardest time to do so.
We want to thank the City of Groveland for being a great partner. We've been in the community for 5 years since you invited us out here, and we go where we're invited, and we look forward to more programs in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all you do. And then let's move on to the consent agenda for the evening. Before we get started on the consent agenda, we have an issue. We put some ordinances on there that need to be taken off and put under new business. If we can go ahead and mark number D, E, ordinance F, ordinance G, ordinance H, and ordinance I to be brought up under new business. We'll move those over. Excluding D, E, F, G, H, and I. Do we have anybody else that wants to take anything off the agenda to discuss this evening? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, well, I'll ask for a motion to pass the consent agenda absent D, E, F, G, and H and I.
I would move to approve the consent agenda minus D, E, F, G, and I,
H.
second.
and H.
I have a second. We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, can we move on to the vote, please?
We do have some public comment. Item D, Dr. Tony McCoy.
That's moved to new business.
I pulled
We
these
moved all
ones.
these to J, excuse me, J, Resolution 2026-21, Susan Ducey. You wanted to make public comment on item J, Resolution 2026-21?
Susan Ducey, 139 Harvest Gate Boulevard, Groveland, Florida. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I wanted to just have some questions more. I'm not saying that I don't want you to vote on this, but I do have some questions about what would happen if we did not accept the deed transfer right now, because that starts the clock going. And I was looking through the contract and had some questions about if they have the building. It says that we'll go ahead and fix the train station, and we have until they have a building, any building that's finished. So I'm just curious as to what any building means. Is that like the drop off your photos, or like the drive-in soft-serve ice cream like they have on 27? Because that wouldn't take very long to build. And it said that they had time after 50 is done. So it sounds like that's, they don't have to do it until 50 is done, but it sounds like they could do it before 50 is all changed. So I'm concerned that them being able to have the certificate of occupancy for any building, is that going to be a quick building that can get occupancy?
Yeah, let me just circle back, because this is just on the lot split. It's not about all of that. This is just moving forward. This specific thing, we'll come back to those areas that you're concerned to at a later time when we see if we can do the lot split. There's things that we have to do before we can even consider moving forward, and this would be one that we'd have to get off the table. So it's just the lot split this evening is what we're commenting on.
Oh, okay,
It's
so
the
I
city
misunderstood, sorry.
Yeah.
So I just thought the acceptance of the special warranty deed meant that you were going to accept the deed tonight.
Splitting the lot.
Split of the lot. All right, my questions are answered then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
No.
All right. Take the vote.
Ready for the roll call vote? Are you ready for the vote, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Yes. Councilmember Solkowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines? Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Jay Cox?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. So dropping back, we have no old business, so let's move to new business. We'll go with D, Ordinance 2026-9, establishing a strategic planning advisory committee. This is the second reading. Would you read the title, please?
Yes. Ordinance 2026-9, establishing the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee, second reading, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Groveland, entitled Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Authorities and Agencies, by creating a new Division 8 entitled Strategic Planning Advisory Committee, establishing membership, qualifications, appointment, and terms of office, providing for meetings and procedures, providing for compliance with ethics requirements, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. We have 2026-9. Do we have a motion to accept?
Move to accept ordinance 2026-9.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion from the council? Any discussion from the public?
Yes. Dr. Tony McCoy?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city manager, and all those who are in their appropriate places. It's been an honor. I just wanted to come before us tonight and tell you that it's been an honor serving on this committee with my colleagues since its inception. I thank God for our core values of intentionality, vitality, connectivity, knowledge, but this is the one I really love, heart. And as we've heard even from those who came up earlier, heart is what makes Groveland the city with the natural charm. So on behalf of my colleagues, some of which are here tonight, I would like to thank this council for your intentionality and your focus on our committee and prioritizing the importance of keeping the strategic plan in sight. As the chairman, I look forward to being involved in any way that you could see that I can be of service, and also with the process and decisions and discussions for retaining the board members and even welcoming new board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Okay, with no further discussion, can we go ahead and take the vote on 2026-9?
Councilmember Slokowski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines? Mayor Kehoe?
So moved. On to E, ordinance 2026-10, establishing a Transportation and Trails Advisory Committee, the second reading. Please read the title.
Ordinance 2026-10, establishing the Transportation and Trails Advisory Committee, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Groveland, entitled Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Authorities and Agencies by creating a new Division 7 entitled Transportation and Trails Advisory Committee, establishing Transportation and Trails Advisory Committee, providing for committee functions, powers, and duties, providing for membership, qualifications, appointment and terms of office, providing for meetings and procedures, providing for compliance with ethics requirements, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept 2026-10?
I make a motion that we accept 2026-10? 10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the second reading? Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, let's go ahead with a vote.
Vice Mayor Gaines, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Slokowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Moving on to ordinance 2026-11, establishing the Utilities Advisory Committee, second reading. Please read the title.
Ordinance 2026-11, establishing the Utilities Advisory Committee, second reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Groveland, entitled Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Authorities and Agencies, by creating a new Division 6 entitled Utilities Advisory Committee, establishing the Utilities Advisory Committee, providing for committee functions, powers, and duties, providing for membership, qualifications, appointment, and terms of office, providing for meetings, procedures, providing for compliance with ethics requirements, providing for severabilities, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept 2026-11?
Motion to accept ordinance number 20-26-11 as presented.
We have a second?
A second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion from the council? Seeing none, any public comment? Seeing none, let's go ahead with the vote, please.
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Chilkowski?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. So passed. Ordinance 2026-5, Langley Industrial Annexation, first reading. Please read the title.
Ordinance 2026-5, Langley Industrial Annexation, first reading, an ordinance extending and increasing corporate limits of the City of Groveland, County of Lake, State of Florida, pursuant to voluntary annexation provisions of 171.044 Florida statutes, annexing 6.2 plus minus acres of real property not embraced within the present limits of the City of Groveland, owned by Rutland International, Inc., providing for findings, providing a legal description and map, directing the city manager to record certified copies of this ordinance after approval with the clerk of the circuit court, the county manager of Lake County, and the secretary of the state of Florida, providing for conflicts and severability, providing for scrivener's errors, setting an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept 2026-5, Langley Industrial Annexation?
Motion to accept 2026-5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any presentation?
We do have a presentation, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if you'd like to see it.
Please.
And with your permission, I'd like to present all three items. They're directly related to just one property in the Ford Commerce Park, as long as that's okay with the interim city attorney as well.
Yes,
I
present
understand
them all
the votes
together.
would have to be separate.
Correct.
Yeah. So you have the Langley Industrial Property. This went through P&Z and received a recommendation for approval. This is in the Ford Commerce Park. It's where the star is on the map. There is an annexation. There is a amendment to our feature land use map, amending it to bring in an employment center category, and then also a zoning of light industrial. It's in the heart of the Ford Commerce Park. One of our biggest priorities right now as a city is to bring in and prioritize non-residential uses. This is smack dab directly in the middle of light industrial properties on all sides. Currently has a light industrial category in Lake County. We're basically bringing this in, instead of being Lake County light industrial, it'll be City of Groveland light industrial. About 6 acres. I'll go through some of these slides, but just wanted to give you a high-level view of what the property is all about, what these applications are about. 6 acres, and they're planning about over 100,000 square feet for industrial uses. Here's the subject property. Applicant is Trevor Brown with Rutland International. Request, again, voluntary annexation into the city of Groveland. Location is on Republic Drive at the southwest corner of Democracy Street and Republic Drive, within the Christopher C. Ford Commerce Park in Groveland, and again, it's just a little over 6 acres. The property is contiguous with the city. It is compact, meeting the requirements of Florida Statute 171.044. Being under 6 acres, actually under 50 acres, actually qualifies it as a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, which means it doesn't have to go to the state for transmittal and review. It's really just taking care of at the city scale. Required public notice has been provided, including publication and notification to the county. The proposed annexation does not create an enclave or unincorporated pocket. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2026-5. P&Z had a board motion of 3-2 in favor of approving ordinance 2026-5. If you'd like, I could go through the rest of the 2 items on the feature land use map amendment.
But, as you're going through, if you could comment on what the 2 opposing votes were concerned about as we're going through.
Not to put them on the spot, but I think one of those members from the P&Z meeting is here in the audience. It's totally voluntary, don't feel obligated, but if you'd like to hear straight from the horse's mouth, be happy to hear from Mrs. Robin Hoover from the P&Z Advisory Board.
Vice Chair, right, of the P&Z, so speaks
Correct.
with authority.
Good evening, Robin Hoover, 1387 Ardmore Road, Groveland. That is correct, Vice Chair of the Planning and Zoning meeting. We met this past Thursday 2 weeks ago actually now. And unfortunately, there was no representative here for the Langley project. There was a lot of unanswered questions, but my biggest thing was that this was 6+ acres of agricultural timber land. So I was curious to what was going to happen to the timber and the agricultural aspect, and I had no answers. So for me, I willingly could not vote yes to move this forward without more answers and information, which hopefully you've received tonight or will receive tonight before you make your final vote. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Did we get those answers?
Well, the agricultural exemption that's on the property, mostly due to silviculture on the property, would be going away with this. The current property owner would be losing that. By annexing to the city and having an industrial use, they would be paying taxes to the city on the property, and it'd be altered in terms of change of use. I would like to add that our joint planning agreement map approved by both the city and the county, imagine this property coming in, not as agriculture, but as light industrial, since it's in the middle, surrounded by other light industrial properties in the Ford Commerce Park. It's not to downgrade. One of our other bigger priorities as the city is saving at least 50% of our utility service areas, either conservation or agriculture. There are a lot of other properties that we do want to save as agriculture, but this, again, being front and center in the Ford Commerce Park, surrounded by light industrial uses. This was not one of those properties we imagined staying as agriculture.
I would just, I'm sorry, I would just have a question on, does our arbor ruling come in where that has to be mitigated, that as they take down all those trees, does any of the of our arbor ruling on inches, on calipers and stuff replace?
Yes, yeah, our tree preservation, that does hold true. That's typically dealt with at the site development plan phase and building permit, not necessarily at a land use map change or annexation. But thanks for bringing that up.
But it'll come into play at some point?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue on. You have two more?
And same applicant, same property, changing the future land use from Lake County Industrial to City of Groveland Employment Center. Same address, same property size, of course. And then here's a map of the other surrounding properties that are incorporated within the City of Groveland city limits. They do have that employment center future land use. It's outside of the FEMA flood zone. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The amendment supports, again, employment development within the established industrial area, again, in the Ford Commerce Park. It's compatible with the surrounding uses. And it's the same vote with PNZ 3-2. Again, I believe for the same reasons that Vice Chair Robin Hoover brought up at the podium. Staff does recommend approval for the ordinance 2026-6. And I'll go through the last one.
Please.
Here's a map indicating that it is surrounded by other light industrial properties. It is surrounded by heavy industrial to the right. In consistency with the future land use map, it's compatible with the surrounding uses. And then, of course, between the site development plan phase and the building plan phase, it would have to meet the applicable land development code standards, such as tree mitigation through landscaping. Staff recommendation is the same, approval of ordinance 2026-7, and the same vote with PNZ, a 3-2 vote in favor of approving.
Okay, we'll take these one at a time, and we'll discuss them. The first one, ordinance is 2026-5. That's the Langley Industrial Annexation. Do we have a motion to approve?
You already have a
Yeah,
motion.
Amy Jo Carroll made the motion, and I seconded it.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
With, Robin brings up a good point. So with the agriculture being eliminated, is there any other place that could be moved or placed somewhere else while we're losing it there, is it possible for what we're losing to bring it to some other place?
So it's similar to a transfer of development rights scenario, which we have been exploring with Lake County. Now, typically, the land use has to have agriculture. In this situation, it has an agricultural tax exemption, essentially, for the lumber. In this scenario, it's difficult to say that someone has only an agriculture use simply because they have the light industrial zoning through Lake County already to today. There are other properties that do have agriculture, say on the future land use and zoning map, and then also the joint planning map between the city and the county. In that situation, say if it was agriculture, and we were bringing something that would change the land use from agriculture, say to industrial or mixed use or residential, in that situation, we would have to be looking at a TDR scenario, because that would reduce that overall 50% goal that the city has. This property, again, even though it has the agricultural tax exemption, it's not counted toward that 50% agriculture and preservation goal that we have. It's a great idea, and again, we're trying to explore it with the county, but I just don't see its application on this property.
But it's county property now, not city, so that's
Correct.
what you're saying.
It's through Lake County. They could go through the county right now and
Right.
go through a site development plan and building permit phase for light industrial use and not agriculture without getting any kind of map amendments.
Right. And just for clarity, I just finished with a JPA meeting today, and so if we denied this, they could go ahead and get it through the county.
Correct.
And we would be offering the services of the fire and everything else because of our contract. So we would be paying and not receiving any monies.
They would be getting the tax benefit.
Yeah,
And we would be providing
supplying the
services.
It's a net loss to the city.
Yes.
We would be receiving a 25% premium on our utility on the actual bill, but that pales in comparison to what the tax revenue on the property, especially if you're looking at something over 100,000 square feet.
Yeah, with a fire assessment fee and everything like that, correct. So, okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any public comment? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on 2026-5.
Councilmember Carroll, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Solkowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaycox?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Ordinance 2026-6, Langley Industrial Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, first reading. Do I have a motion to accept 2026-6?
I have to read it into the record first.
Oh, you sure do, thank you.
Ordinance 2026-6, Langley Industrial Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Groveland's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.31871 Florida statutes, by amending the future land use designation from Lake County Industrial to the City of Groveland Employment Center on the future land use map for the herein described properties consisting of 6.2 plus minus acres, authorizing the city manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and scrivener's errors, providing for an effective date, and providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Commerce.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept 2026-6?
A motion to accept ordinance 2026-6 as presented.
Second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we've had the presentation. No public comment. Let's move forward. Vote.
Councilmember Jaycox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Solkowski?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe?
Aye. Ordinance 2026-7, Langley Industrial Rezoning, first reading. Please read the title, please.
Ordinance 2026-7 Langley Industrial Rezoning, first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Groveland, Florida, to change the zoning from Lake County Light Manufacturing to the City of Groveland Light Industrial for the herein described property owned by Rutland International, Inc. and located on Republic Drive, south of U.S. Highway 27, east of Democracy Street and west of State Road 19, directing the city manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept 2026-7?
Motion to accept ordinance 2026-7 as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. Public comment? Seeing none. Let's take the vote.
Councilmember Jay Cox, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Solkowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kehoe.
Moving on to the rest of the new business that's on the agenda, discussion, direction, placement of commemorative work at South Lake Regional Park. Do we have a presentation?
We do, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We have our very own Mike Walker, Parks and Recreation Director, here to provide a presentation on the item tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. What you have in front of you today is actually our first opportunity to utilize a city asset naming policy that was adopted in 2019. So we received an application in 2024, November. Yes, we're in 2026, I understand that. This application was received by a family, two families actually, where they lost their loved ones in a battle of cancer. Mr. Glenn Jersick is here with me today. He flew in from Boston. He is the father of Malia, who had passed away in 2023. But in 2024, the application that was submitted to the city manager's office and then sent to staff was trying to identify a location of a commemorative marker statue to be placed at a city park. The park that was identified at the time was Cherry Lake Park. The family grew up when Malia was a young child, grew up just to the north of Cherry Lake Park, so they thought that would be a good fitting to just show the accomplishment that she, along with Coach Mike Stone, who also passed away prior to Malia in 2016, did in the community, and they just wanted to go through our process and see. So we presented to the Recreation Advisory Committee in January of 2024. The application request is in your packet. And going through the meeting, had good dialogue. The families were, I believe, on a Zoom call that day, and good discussion. We talked about Cherry Lake Park. The conceptual plan really did include soccer fields, and this was the passion of the two individuals we're discussing, was the game of soccer. And with no soccer fields there, we just found it hard to, have a marker or a statue there that didn't have anything relating to the game of soccer. South Lake Regional Park was, coming in the forefront with construction. So we brought that up at the January 2025 meeting, and the RAC gave me direction. We tabled the agenda item until a further time. They asked me to stay in contact with Glenn, which I did over time. And once construction started at South Lake Regional Park, he was in the area later in 2025, I believe around November. And he drove by the park. He gave me a call, and he's like, I went there, that's it. That'll work. So that was November, December, like I said, of 2025. We put it back in front of the Recreation Advisory Committee again in January of 2026 with the presentation, and with also in your packet is a conceptual design of the commemorative work statue. And unanimously, your Recreation Advisory Committee supported it. So here we are in front of City Council. I believe we do have a policy, as I mentioned. This is our first go-round with the policy. I believe it is very detailed with different levels of asset naming, renaming, donations, et cetera. And in this case, it's pretty much a naming because the two individuals would be named on the commemorative marker, and it's the placement of a marker at South Lake Regional Park. We're here in front of you today to get feedback. The next step with approval would be to follow policy and allow for a 30-day public notice period of time. After that 30-day public notice period, any comments would be obtained, would be provided to the city manager, who then would forward them to city council, and we would then schedule this at the next meeting of city council to bring back for your consideration of approval by resolution. So the father is here. We've got a short little video that I'd like to play, and any questions that you have for myself, be more than happy to answer, or if you'd like to hear from Glenn as well. So let's see if I can do what I'm supposed to do. Or I don't touch it and it just happens.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
If I can just build upon that, because in the video you saw there were some other dedications in the name of Malia and Coach Stone. So this is at Hickory Point, in Tavares. And that has been in place. That's where Coach Mike Stone did a lot of his coaching with Lake County Soccer, which I think he began the program in 1996. So Lake County has recognized the individuals here, and also recently in Lake Nona. You saw the proclamation from the city of Orlando from April of this year, so a month ago, dedicating a field or a complex to Malia. So I think we've also had we've had a presentation of soccer here the last month or so about, children with limitations, disabilities, and the closest program to go was to Lake Nona. Now you have the connection. I've been working with the family for a year and a half, and part of the request here is for the top soccer program to be a part of this request that the foundation in Malia's name would be providing $5,000 annually for 5 years to get a top soccer program here in Groveland, whether providing the training to city staff or local volunteers to have that offering here in Groveland. So I'm here to answer any questions, as is Glenn.
This discussion item, we'll start with, did you want to start? You jumped there, yeah. Okay, Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, sir, what is your last name?
My name's Glenn Jessic.
Okay, Mr. Jessic, first of all, I want to applaud you for your efforts and tenaciousness, if there is such a word, your stick-to-itiveness in honoring Mr. Stone and your daughter. I want to say that right off the record. But the other questions I have now are for Mike. Okay. So since this is a new, would you call it a new policy or implementation of a policy, Mike?
It's our first request on the
Okay.
policy, yes, ma'am.
So the first request, there are some people who may be sitting here or maybe out in TV land that would have some questions. So I'm going to ask questions because if I have the questions, then other people might have the questions. This is nothing personal. It's just to get an enhanced understanding and possibly some suggestions for it. When you do the statutes, are there any specific sizes, materials, or placement restrictions on whatever is being placed in the parks?
Per the policy, all that information needs to be provided to the city for consideration, so we would work with our building department to assure that whatever is being installed is safe and whatnot.
Who would have the final determination on that when it came to those materials and size
Can
and
you
et
help me with the
cetera?
building department if they're requesting?
Signage types, I think ultimately city council.
We can bring that back and then make sure we include it in the resolution as far as size, dimensions, and, you know, where it's going at the park.
We would treat that like other signage code requirements and have ultimately council approve or recommend changes to it.
Okay, who would be responsible for the cost of the installation? And if there is maintenance on it, who would be responsible? Would it be the city or would it be the liability from the donor or the sponsor?
I believe the upkeep would be the requester. Now, if it was due to vandalism, we would probably have to have further conversations on that.
Okay, now, since these are privately funded, all of them would be privately funded, right?
Say that one more
Would
time.
all of them be privately funded that go into the parks?
All of them meaning future request?
Yes.
The policy states that is full responsibility on the requester.
So who would own it once it goes into the park or wherever you're putting it?
I would believe anything donated, installed on a park property would be owned by the city of Groveland.
And the naming of it, who would be responsible for that? The person that's donating it, the city, or who would that be?
Per policy, the request is made per the applicant, and then at final approval is city council.
And can you give me the 3 categories that the statues can go into the park?
The policy is really citywide, so it's any city property. It's not just parks. But I believe what you are requesting are the naming criterias for a city asset, and those naming criterias would be context and geographic location, natural or geological features, historic events and places, outstanding individuals.
Okay, and my last question to you, Mike, is would there be any public comment regarding the statue?
Yes, ma'am. If we get approval this evening, there will be a 30-day public notice period to obtain public comments. and then we would bring this back in a resolution form at a city council meeting, and public input would be able to be provided at that time as well.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Amy Jo?
No questions.
You're not renaming the park, right?
No, sir. No, sir, we're just looking to have a placement of the design that's in your packet placed at South Lake Regional Park.
Okay, so it would be placed over near the soccer fields, near the stands, if you have stands over there or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How tall is it?
Malia was 4'11", Mike was 5'11", so max 6 feet.
Okay, does that meet our requirements?
Size is determined by city council, so.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
In addition to the installation and the statue, there was another donation that was made for 5 years. Can you talk about that?
That was the top soccer program for children with limitations, disabilities, that they would provide the funding of $5,000 annually for 5 years to provide training to city staff or local volunteers to offer this training here in Groveland.
No, I think we take this as an opportunity, since it's the first time that we're doing this, to learn from it. And I would just, my input would be that we make sure we're consistent with the rest of the county and the other cities that have already done this, find out if they had any issues before we move forward too much further. Also, to utilize it as, and I mean this in not a negative way, but in a hopefully a positive way, that these kind of emotional things can really take over, and we need to make sure that in our criteria we have certain specific criteria that has to be met. In other words, like, if it's 5 years after something happens, or those kind of things, because there's usually a waiting period, so you don't have all this quick emotion, and we can solve that. But I think, again, we can probably take some of that from other cities. It does speak, this speaks to our values of connectivity and heart. So I hope as we're presenting this, that we really drive home those fundamental values that the city has and how this connects to it. But I think it's a great opportunity. I agree with you on the having that top soccer group come out here. Again, it speaks to connectivity and heart, and that's what we're all about. And I really appreciate the efforts that are going on behind this. Let's just take the opportunity to get this thing really defined, so the next and the next and the next, we don't have to come back and do it again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any public comment? Seeing none? Any further discussion needed? Do you have any more questions for us, or do you want to?
Just want to take the time to thank Mike for putting up with me, and this is obvious, as you've seen, a long journey, and thank you all for the opportunity. Malia, grew up for her first 3 years on Skytop Lane in Groveland. She loved it. It was supposed to be her home for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, that's not the case. As a parent of a deceased child and a friend to a deceased friend, I can't ask them what they'd want, but what I can do is guess, and I saw the way those two coached and worked together on that soccer field for many years, and I think they'd want to continue that legacy. And a great way is to have a top soccer program with them in statue form overlooking it. So I appreciate the opportunity and hope it happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
If I can just add one personal touch to that on my side. I coached a young man years ago. He was 8 years old, so my son's 33, so 25 years ago, I had a young man that I was coaching that passed away of brain cancer as well. And the park put a rock with a memorial bronze there in Hernando County. That rock and bronze is still there, and to this day, every youth league opening day, every child in that league touches that rock before they get on that field for that opening day ceremony. So things like this are really meaningful to small communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that forward. Next on the new business agenda, discussion, direction, update on 2024 utility rate and connection fee study.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have Mr. T.J. Fish from Public Works here to provide an overview of the study.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. T.J. Fish over Transportation and Public Works. Just following up with an update on the work that has already started to get underway, but we got to formalize it. So a little background, February's workshop of the City Council, as the enterprise fund budget was one of the items of focus. Council then at that time in informal discussions expressed an interest in updating the 2024 study conducted by Raftellus that supports the current rate structure and impact fee or connection fee ordinance. And then at your most recent meeting of the council on May 4th, you did direct staff to work with Raftellus on the update. Therefore, a scope of work has been finalized, and that was based on discussions, input from the council. Staff collaborated, not just from my department, but of course with finance, with Michelle Michnoff and with Aaron Jers. And basically, the item that's before you is not a contract. We already have a contract with Raftellus to perform various scopes of work. This is a task order. It's very specific to this effort. A handful of notable features within this task order. The previous study looked out at really what was a 4-year window of 2024 through 2028, 5-year. This one is going to be extended as a 10-year scope. And I will say it's good that we're looking out long-term because, for example, some of the debt service that the city is taking on is long-term. So it's good to understand the impact of that. I will say also, as you extend any kind of study, the accuracy gets less and less the more years you go out. So year 20 of a 20-year plan is never perfect with the way the plan was put together, but I think the fact that we're looking at 10 years is very important. One of the areas that was suggested, and we did incorporate into the scope, is reclaim. Right now, there is a rate structure for water, for potable water. There's a rate structure for wastewater, and there's a rate structure for reclaimed irrigation. And it could be one or the other. Irrigation from potable sources where potable's available, irrigation from reclaimed sources where reclaim's available. It's captured from an impact fee standpoint under the wastewater impact fee, but we want to look at the merit of possibly separating that out. Not typical to all utilities, but definitely worthy of analysis. And then cost allocation. Last time, part of the drama of the 40% increase in 2024 was the overall rate structure. It was not that every single customer got hit with a 40% increase. In this case, what we want to do is not just look at the rate structure as a whole, but have Raftellus get into, all right, are we seeing more of a need under potable water? Is it more under sewer? Is it more under reclaim? So that if adjustments are needed, does it have to be the entire rate structure, or could you possibly isolate that to the rates for one of the three? The overview of the overall study, the highlights, the rate model itself, looking at the connection fee side of the study, and then this whole essence of cost allocation review of getting into each of the three areas of our utilities to see where the greatest impact. And I'll kind of give you a preview that I can already tell you intuitively the cost of your wastewater needs is the greatest one compared to potable water or reclaim. So the components of the task order includes the initiation of the project. I've been under the impression of there being a great sense of urgency to get this work done, so we're already working on this, but the signed task order has not been handed over until you take action tonight, out of courtesy and respect of the council. But already have gone over thoroughly with Raftella's staff, including Joe Williams, the vice president, over this project. One of the things that since March he and I have been working toward is making sure they've got the bandwidth to expedite this effort. Because last time it took 8 months. This time they're going to do this effort in 120 days. The data collection review, we're already ready to hand over audited 2024 numbers. And remember, 2024 includes the first year of the rate structure, along with that cap that the council put on for those first 4 months. So we've got those numbers. We've got unaudited 25 numbers that the audit staff is completing that portion, and along the way, the audit may be complete, but we start off with data from 25 that technically is unaudited, and what data that we have through 26. For example, it being May, we have collected, for example, March usage, so we've got that billing data, but that's as far at the moment as we've got, and we'll add to that each month that we receive billing data. So that ties in to the billing analysis. Part of what we're doing here also is looking at customer usage. One of the things that was built into the previous study is how much will people change their irrigation habits with the tiered structure that you have in place? And people, not everyone, but people definitely adjusted their habits. And that was part of the conservation basis of that structure. Very, very critical to this study is the net revenue requirements. Every single action the city has taken in order to borrow that super low interest money through the state revolving fund, it's been based on rate sufficiency. And any time that the city wants to go back and utilize that program to borrow at very, very low interest, they've got to do a rate sufficiency test. So that's a huge component of that. And then finally, there will be a report and presentation. We want to go ahead and time this as early as possible so that we can get what we are working toward as the draft report in front of staff and council, hopefully as early as August, with the ability to finalize everything in September. And then part of that's going to be review of the draft ordinance for council's consideration. And it may be 2 ordinances. You may be looking at one where you're taking action on the rate structure. You may be looking at another for the connection or impact fee structure. And then wrapping this up, there are 3 phases to it, but phase B is getting into this wastewater connection fee update as tied to the reclaim. So is there a merit to separating those out? What does that mean? And how many other communities have done this? So that information is forthcoming. And again, I want to emphasize, I think a really compelling piece of this study is this cost allocation update of not just the overall rate structure of how it all adds up together cumulatively, but breaking down the 3 systems to determine where's the greatest expenses and therefore adjustments needed. So again, 120 days, that's a commitment in writing. Again, this is not a contract. They're already under contract. This is a task order. We've got budgeted, already identified the $83,600 not to exceed. And they are waiting for simply a signature back, which if you'll notice in your packet, I have already signed the task order ready to hand over. We've got a meeting scheduled next week. They've got a list of requests of the city that they need in order to fulfill. And I do want to emphasize, Raftella's took effort knowing that this was being considered tonight, of making sure they've got a team able to do this 120-day effort starting immediately. So I hope that helps. I'll be glad to answer your questions, but we're basically already started, just needing to formalize it.
Okay, questions?
How you doing, TJ? When will the phase 1 study be complete?
That's what we're working toward. I mean, and I'll say it very fairly. Raftella's does great work. They're expeditious. Staff's got a lot. This team has a lot of information to provide, and so we're working toward an August draft. That's our goal for staff, is getting as much information over so that we can start seeing where this is going and keep the council informed of the progress along the way. And in June, we'll be giving you your first update as part of the June workshop, because utilities will be the focus of that workshop.
Okay, part of Phase 1 was for us to figure out if we still need to keep increasing the water rates by 10% every year. So to do that, we need it at least, as soon as possible, because it raises again October 1st, I believe. So that was what Phase 1 was supposed to concentrate on. And if they're going to do the whole thing in 120 days, I would expect they should have Phase 1 done sooner than that. But so you got to give us enough time to do that phase.
Yes, sir.
Phase 1 to have us decide something. It takes a while to get us to decide anything. So, and the Phase 1 is including the new meters updates and the grants and the way the money changed around.
It's all of it. It's taking in any enhanced revenues from us accurately reading usage, as well as growth in the customer base, as well as projected growth, not on what might happen, but what is actually approved and building and being able to count those new customers coming onto the system.
Okay.
So, and then to your point, yes, grants, loans, anything that changed from 2 years ago will all be incorporated.
Okay, is Phase 2 also going to address the problem of the lost water that we had?
That's a separate effort. So we're already working diligently on water loss, and we have been able to identify the primary culprit is not the system and leakage, which is usually the issue. It's been the meters. And so even as we get new meters in, we're learning things out there in the field that we continue to fix.
Okay. In this study, are we going to be, are they going to be looking to add more money to the reclaimed and the wastewater in additional fees to cover new construction as well, or they're just looking at the number, to move the number off the water and split it evenly between the three, or what are they looking at?
Well, you've got two things happen at once. One of the areas that was suggested is, could we look at separating out and having a reclaim impact fee? We can look at that. But more importantly is this cost allocation analysis, that the previous effort took all of it and melded it all into one rate structure. This time, in addition to that, we're breaking out, well, is water expenses, is that really where our issue is, or is it because we might be looking at a new wastewater plant, and that's where the expenses are hitting more deeply? Or is there something in reclaim that we need to take into account, like the loan to replace the entire pumping system up at Sunshine? That's a pretty significant $4 million investment. So it's looking at breaking the three systems out, as well as the overall rate structure.
Okay, my last question is, are we at the minimum amount that the state will keep giving us grants as far as what we're billing? Or are we at some number higher than the minimum?
It really comes back down to you have to maintain a certain rate sufficiency over time that they, through their own process, agree. So, for example, in every one of the agreements, it says we have to have budgeted for debt service each year 1.15% or 115% of what we owe that year for any debt service payments. So that's part of it. I don't want to tell you that when the rates were adopted that you were within, X amount, otherwise we wouldn't have got the loan, but I can say this. If that ordinance had not been adopted in 2024, we did not receive a funding agreement to do the Sampy Road wastewater plant. They literally did not give us that agreement till they saw the signed ordinance. Then they said, you meet rate sufficiency to take out this loan, and then the city was offered the loan to do the Sampy project. That was a very real scenario.
Okay, I had one more question, I forgot about it. Remember we discussed we wanted ranges this time?
Yes.
Instead of firm numbers?
Right.
That was it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
David?
I think he touched on most of what I wanted to ask, but not really. We've talked about this previously, but just a random question. With the old meters, I know some were in dire need to be replaced. Some still work fine. Do you know what percentage are still in dire need of being replaced of all of the meters? Is it 10%, 50%?
So the meter replacement project was driven predominantly with the goal of eradicating the old brand of meter that was not going to be part of the advanced metering infrastructure, of being able to read radio frequency with antenna on the meters from our tower locations that are, by the way, have now gone up. So the city changed out 5,000 meters this past year. That eradicated census. And now we're 8 years into using the brand that we've committed to, Neptune, and we're starting to have to replace Neptune because that's how attrition works. So rather than give you a firm number, it was more get rid of all census, then start evaluating the condition of the Neptune, and that's exactly what we're doing now.
All the previous ones are gone. We're now working on the current system that we use and we like, just the old ones of that phase.
Yeah, now it'll be an annual change out of just the oldest of the Neptune that we've identified that are starting to underperform.
Joe?
I have no questions.
Madam Vice Mayor?
No questions.
Just a few, since this is just discussion. We have a graduated impact fee rate, like apartments pay so much per unit versus a house, and it's like $7,000 per apartment. Is that right?
It's 75% of the single family.
If it's one or two bedroom, I thought maybe
Yeah,
I've got the wrong
it is one or
information.
two bedroom.
7,000. But my question is because they don't use any less wastewater, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, they flush the toilet and it goes downstream to us. We've got a facility that we want to build, or we have to build, I guess, for $119 million. And it seems to me on those impact fees, they should be based on what goes to the plant instead of whatever other idea we had there. Maybe it's because they don't think we're going to have water in the lawn or whatever, but we have an issue. I stay up nights when I do the math, and listen, I'm just a cook that does recipes, but when I do the math on $119 million, and if our impact fees all were $14,000, we need 8,500 more houses if growth pays for growth. If we have apartments, we need almost twice that. So I just wish in this rate study we would really examine how we're doing that reduction on high density, because I know that it takes less to hook them up, but our big expense is out there, and 8,500 houses is only a smidgen of the 20,000 houses that were approved. You know, 8,500 houses will generate more than 2 million gallons of wastewater by 250 per house, rather than 300 that was in the comp plan, which would blow it up even more. So if I look at them, I'm starting to think, how many of these $119 million facilities do we have to build in order to meet our obligation? And how are we going to do it? It's going to have to be in impacts. It's going to, we sit here and tell the public it's about new paying for new, and it's just not happening. We've got to look at it in your rate study, because it's those big plants that are going to drag us down. If we don't have so many new houses every year coming in, impact fees to pay for it, that's what keeps me up at night, you know, and we're really booking ourselves into a corner on just taking rooftops, you know, and we please make sure that we have that in mind, that impact and that whole mindset of growth pays for growth in mind.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and some of what you've mentioned are just part of industry standards of how in Florida impact fees are structured between single-family, multifamily. But I agree with you. I stay up at night worrying about the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And how many, just what worries me more, how many housing starts we've had so far this year?
Sorry?
How many housing starts have we had this fiscal year so far?
Less than half that was forecasted. We're looking at about between 100 to 150.
150, and we need about 500, right, to meet what we're saying we're going to do. So we just got to balance the equation and get us all to where we can sleep, because this is a very difficult situation.
Now, I will certainly be presenting more information in the near future about our plans on how we're handling the wastewater plant and design first, so you can make a judicious decision about taking on debt, because you may decide we're not ready to build a 2 MGD, million gallon per day plant. We can afford one, and those are the kind of things we're going to bring back to council.
Thank you. Thank you for the work on this. It's
Yes.
very important. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I think this was, Mayor, set up for action as it was placed on the agenda. I'll defer to the city manager if he had something different in mind, but it was to make sure you all were comfortable with staff signing off on the task order.
Sure, we're comfortable with it. That does come out of the enterprise, right? The 80?
Correct,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're the boss of the enterprise, right? Okay. Okay, next up, discussion, direction, operational audit.
Good morning. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I'm Michelle Mishnoff, Chief Operating Officer, and we're going to go through a operational audit or assessment. And here we go, sorry. Back on January 5th, the council directed staff to pursue a citywide operational audit. The city, we have to evolve from thinking that we're just 8,000 residents and operating to more towards our current 26,000 residents effectively and continue to scale to 50,000 over the next 10 to 20 years. And so the thought was to do an operational audit. And with that, the goal is not to place blame or to go, got you on our departments, but to identify opportunities to improve operational effectiveness and efficiencies. We started with a finance assessment, which was completed first to establish a baseline and implement immediate procedural improvements in our finance team. And so now we're ready to take on the whole entire city. So staff, we've solicited proposals from several different firms. Most of the firms that we reached out to responded with an assessment over a traditional audit. And we'll talk the reasons why. So I wanted to show you what the difference between an operational audit and an assessment are. One, an audit is more looking at the compliance of how the city's run, where an assessment shows the strength, the weaknesses, and areas of opportunity to improve in our operations. The focus of an audit is more over risk management, compliance, and performance, whereas an assessment is what is our processes, what's our capabilities, and how do we continue to improve. An audit is very regimented, it's more structured, it's more formal, whereas an assessment is more collaborative, it's less formal, it's forward-looking, more team-based, and figuring out a solution. A standard is, on an audit, it's predefined criteria, here's your policy, here's your regulations, whereas an assessment uses benchmarks, best practices, workflow mapping, and strategic recommendations. The outcome from an audit provides assurance and often includes findings, risk, and compliance gaps, whereas an outcome on an assessment is improvement, stabilization, strategic alignment, capacity building, and turnaround of planning. The scope of an audit is narrower and well-defined, and on an assessment, it's usually broader and more holistic. The approach is evidence-based and looking and testing all of our controls, reviewing our documentation, whereas an assessment is more analytical, consultative, which is asking questions, interviews, observations, and process reviews. Frequency of an audit is usually annually or per an audit plan, whereas an assessment would be as needed when you all feel that we need to do one. The independence of an audit is conducted by an external auditors or an independent auditing firm. Independence on the assessment may be by consultants and management teams or internal experts. In your package, you guys received 92 pages of great reading material from me in your packet that went over the 4 different agencies that responded. 3 of them came back with an assessment and 1 came back with an audit. Carr, Riggs & Ingram is currently our auditing firm that does our audit for us each year, and they came back with doing an audit. They do not do assessments. The other three that gave us bids, Clarion, as you all know, did our finance assessment with Mike Fitzgerald, Andrew Laughlin. They work with us very closely on the finance team, and their team includes staff that has been city managers, utility managers, and so forth. So they have a very wide, broad government municipality consultants with them. A-Line Accounting Partners, GWI Tax. They're another one of our firms that we use that we consult with in the finance team. A-Line is a national company, and GWI Tax is who we use to help us with some of our audit preparedness right now. And they included a very nice package as well, followed by Cherry Beckert. They came in at the last second. When I asked for proposals, they came in, met with them and their team. They have an office here in Central Florida. They're a top 20 in the United States for advisory and tax, and they have a team that does audits and assessments. And so you had the opportunity to look through all of the 4 proposals that we had. They all gave different timeframes dealing with how long it would take. Clarion and A-Line are about 12 weeks. CRI was about 12 weeks per audit. Cherry Beckert, they gave us 2 options. One was just a high overview, which they believed that they could have it done in 6 weeks. And if we had gone with their option 2, it would be 6 weeks for the most high risk, 6 weeks for your moderate risk, and then 6 weeks for your low risk. They would break it out into 9 different audits. The price, there's a big difference in our price. Clarion started off not to exceed $85,000. A-Line came in at $235,000. And Cherry Beckert was $119,000 for their first option, and then $193,000 if we chose their second option. CRI, again, is an audit, so they are really diving in, and they have a very tight audit schedule. Their recommendation is that we do 10 audits per year, and we do that at $40,000 per audit, so that would be $400,000 per year, and they're suggesting a 5-year plan on that. With the minimum that we could only do 3 audits, and that would be $120,000, but that would not cover all of our different departments. Optional services that they offered, like I said, CRI, they recommended a 5-year plan. They do give us a 3-year option. And Cherry Beckert, like I said, talked about having the overall generic of 6 weeks, or if we broke it down to low, medium, and high risk. And those would be 6 weeks for each one, and that is your option 2. Overall, Clarion is our lowest price. They're based here in Florida. They have a fixed not to exceed, and they know us very well. They're in-house, and we talk to them. They're in-house once a week, and then we talk to them every single day. A-Line was it was the most expensive out of our assessments at $235. They do peer city benchmarking, and they have offices all over the United States, based in North Carolina. Cherry Beckert, like I said, the fastest delivery is 6 weeks. They have a heat map, KPI dashboards, and they gave us options on pricing. And then finally, the CRI, is $40,000 per audit, with their suggesting 10 a year at $400,000, and their 5 years would be a $2 million price tag. What's our next steps? We're coming to you to find out how you guys would like us to proceed. And a couple just key things here. If we do the audit path, we'll have to do a formal sealed RFP process because it's over $250,000. The assessment allows us, because we had 3 of them come in, we can go ahead and start one of them because it is less than $250,000, and we received 3 RFIs already, so we have passed compliance. And again, this is not a budgeted item, so there will be a budget amendment later this fiscal year on this. The last thing I know, Ms. Vice Mayor, you're going to ask me, and procurement was involved with us on helping us getting this nice and tight and ready to present tonight. That's all
Did
I
they?
have.
Were they?
Procurement did help us with this.
Okay, questions? Let's start. Amy Jo?
So I'm just going to go back to the finance assessment that we did. That was an assessment, correct?
Yes,
And a Clarion did that one.
correct.
And I really like the results of that one, especially since we can grow into it. So, I mean, I also like their price tag, but we really have already seen a finished product from them, and I thought it was really good. And it's something that we can continue to grow into as a city, which is what we're really looking for. So, I mean, that's the one I think we should go with. The rest. CRA sounds crazy. We don't have that kind of money. That would be a hard no. The other ones we can talk about.
Steve?
Yeah, I agree with Amy Jo. I liked, I think my exact phrase after we did the assessment of finance was, we should try to do this for each of the departments. Do you know how they would break that up? Would they tackle one department at a time? How are they?
That would be the direction of what you all would give us. They are open to it. They have a staff that knows they can start with whatever you think is the highest risk or ones that you want to see done first. They can start going through all the departments and ask the same questions and then slowly. It's really how the council gives direction.
And I would be for, if we had some red flag, I would be fine with doing an audit of one department. I think this is more of an assessment of all of the departments and making sure, you and your team have done an amazing job getting our finances and making sure that that's flowing. And I think just having this in each department may be a huge win and actually provide some relief to staff of this is how we could be doing it 3 years from now. I know you guys did the assessment of what software you guys were using, and we weren't using the software to the max of what we could be using it for. So there's, I think, room to grow. But yeah, with Amy Jo, I wouldn't be in favor of doing any of the larger ones if I do like the first quote from a Clarion.
Tell me again, which ones can do assessments? And which ones said they were only doing audit?
CRI, which is Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, is our auditing firm. They only do audits. They do not do assessments. And they're the ones that came in at the $400,000. And I did have other firms that came back and said if we decided to do an audit, they would put in an RFP bid at that point.
Okay, so everybody else is willing to do an assessment?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to get the numbers that we're looking for from the assessment as well? In other words, this was the budget, they were in budget, they were over budget, they used the budget for other things than was in their proposal. Are we going to get those numbers with an assessment?
With the assessment, they'll come in and give us exactly, he'll be under the 84.7 and make sure that we are within budget and make sure we do a lot of work with them. So he is going to make sure it's tight and it's within budget and make sure that the department, he'll be honest and say, this is where we're at. This is what needs to improve as you guys want to continue to grow.
Okay, will an assessment get us the look towards a Groveland at 50K residents?
Yes, sir.
An audit won't?
No.
Okay. When they give a number, is it for each division?
The CRI one was, yes.
Okay. Clarion is the entire.
Entire city, excluding finance because they just did the finance one.
Okay. And based on the numbers that you're showing, are you worried that the Clarion one isn't going to be effective or
I'll tell you why.
thorough?
I'll tell you why. With Clarion is already involved with us. They're involved with TJ's department already, and they've helped us clean some stuff up and try to get us ready for Raftellus and work on trying to get some of our debt and grants. So they already see some areas that they can effectuate some change. and they have the staff that's here that will be able to just jump right in and not have to spend time getting to know the staff and the players because they're already involved with our teams on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm really surprised that to hear that procurement was involved, because although this is not the federal world, but in the federal world, if you have 4 proposals and one is far off, which like Clarion is, it's dropped because it appears that they don't have a clue. So the others are what I consider in range, but the 83,000 to me begs a question. Additionally, I would like to see someone that is objective. While some may see it as advantageous for this particular company to have it, I don't see it that way. I would like to see someone who is objective. You see, price is not everything. Oh, it helps, but what is the best value? The price could be higher, but you may be getting more. So it's not just price, it's overall what is the best value that we can get. So, like I said, I just want to reiterate, I'm really dumbfounded the procurement even let this one come to pass with the 83,000, and the other 3 are more in range. Those are my comments about that.
I'll be honest, Cherry Record, I met with that team. I was highly impressed with them. I'll be honest, mine is between and Clarion because I know what they can produce, and I really like the Cherry Record. So if you were to ask me which one I would choose, I would have a hard time. I'm in agreement with you.
Well, I just think that there is probably too much familiarity and subjectivity, and I would like for someone to have clean eyes, someone, I'm not saying that Clarion has a dog in the fight, but Clarion, I wonder how objective they could be with this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Could we go back to the slide where we're comparing assessment to audit? And that's where I think that, because we all are coming at it from a different standpoint. No, the one that says that we have an audit develops risk, it takes test accounts, what an audit does versus there you had a slide there. Can we go to it?
I think this is the differences between
think
the
it's under
audit and
focus.
the assessment.
Maybe the second row, Mr. Mayor.
Did we not
Control
have another
systems,
one
risk
that
management.
had more on it? I'm sorry. Roll back through the slides for me. Maybe I'm just having a senior moment here.
This one?
Okay, go forward. Going. Comparison and deliverables, yeah. So with the audit, I know that they do testing, they do risk assessment, they do controls assessment. They're very independent from what's going on. And I think, in my opinion, just so I can share it with everybody else, my opinion is, one, we asked for an independent audit. We didn't ask for an assessment, so I'm disappointed we only got one audit in. 2, that what do we want out of this? I mean, do we want, I love the idea of collaborative. Where is that one that showed one side was collaborative
It's this
and all
one.
that kind of stuff?
Under the nature.
And the other is more formalized and more risk assessment, more things that you really can move on, you know? Just me, would really like to see an independent audit not using any auditors that we already have, not using any services we already have, but somebody that comes in, and if we have to take it one at a time, we develop how many departments we have. How many departments do we have?
Based on this, we were looking at 8, and if you do 9, if you do the finance as well. So it'd be 9 departments.
That we take the highest priority to the low. I love the conversation about we don't have any money, but last meeting, we sat here and had to come up with, $600,000 for interest and $387,000 for something we didn't know was in the building plan. Is that not right? Am I remembering that right?
Are you referring to South Lake Regional?
Yes. Okay, and that's just one example of what we've done time after time after time. We can talk about Main Street, what we bid on and what we paid. We can talk about, 19 and Cherry Lake Road, what we paid, what we said we were going to spend and how much more we had to spend. It's time that we take a step back, have independent auditors come in and test our systems. It's not an employee problem, it's a systemic problem. Our systems are not set up to do what we're doing, or we wouldn't have all these issues that we keep having. If you ask me, the money's well spent to quit spending money on other things, We really, that's my opinion, need an independent, as they said, disciplined, highly disciplined audit. Then you can get into collaboration when we get the results, when we're tested against controls and all that, to say, how are we going to fix this? Because they're not going to give us this is what you better do. This is what's wrong. This is what we see in other places. That's the kind of thing you'll get. So the reason on January 5th, and this is already May, what?
Or mid-May,
May
May
18th.
18th.
We're coming back with one operational auditor. One operational auditor. I am disappointed that that's all we can get with, and who are we asking, because I think we need to look at that. Also, Mr. Maslow, I think you have been exposed to other ways and other means of doing this. I know that, I talked to you, I know that Georgia Tech and some of these colleges, their MBA programs come in and do things and help out. And you said that we have somebody local to do it. I don't know that we could use them, but I sure would like to see what that is, if it's an audit or if it's an assessment, and look at that. But right now, we keep saying, we're not set up in this presentation for 25 and 50,000 people. An assessment's going to tell us, not going to get us there, in my opinion. We need an audit, and that's just one person.
The assessment is what helped our team fix the things the operational issues that were happening in the finance department.
We can do that now.
We went from missing our audit to actually we will be getting our audit done in time. If there were allegations or issues on, let's go audit this one department or this one issue, that's the best way to use an audit. But I want something that looks at the entire thing. And if we are going to have an audit of the entire city, we are talking several $100,000 to then give to an assessment company and say, now how do we fix all of these things? Because the auditor's not going to say, hey, this is how you fix it. They're going to say, well, these are the things that we measured, and this is what you could possibly do, but we're still going to have to give it to an assessment. We were doing an audit every year of finance, and that was not finding the issues that we had wrong. We turned it in late, but there were still issues when Michelle got here of things that had to be fixed. So I don't think an audit is, I spent today looking over other cities' audits with Tim, and it's great to read, but it's not affecting any change. They're checking systems and making sure that the systems are working. We need something this is how some departments need help now, some departments need help when we're 3,000 residents from now. And that's what the assessment could do. And I think when we all had that meeting after finance and you presented, I think the council, at least when I was there, was the majority of the folks wanted, hey, let's do this in all of the departments. And it was a huge win. So I get where you're coming. If you had a precise, like, this is the department that I think we need to audit, then I think that's the conversation of the other company. But if we're going to do citywide and we're not going to waste tax dollars, it's the 84,000 company that we've used previously that we were happy with. And I get it. We can use a different company. There was the company that was, I think, what, $40,000 more? But I don't want to say no to a company because we've already worked with them and we were happy with them. If the staff was like, hey, this company did not provide a great report back, but everything I've seen, Clarion provided great work. Am I wrong? Or?
No, I would agree from an assessment perspective. Definitely a lot more cost-effective, lower cost if that's your concern. Just to echo on the mayor's point, you do have some non-reoccurring funds coming in this year that have not been allocated, 1.46 from Kroger. You have an additional 800,000 plus coming in from the Ocado reimbursements. Would like to not touch the FDOT right-of-way acquisition because about half of that's likely going to be used for the train depot. You have some opportunities. Again, this is at council's discretion. And that's really the biggest decision that we're trying to make at this point. Are we looking at audit, which is a lot more expensive, a lot more in-depth, takes more time, or the assessment that it likely takes less time and significantly less amount of money? It does look at your org chart, looks at processes, looks at your different softwares, very similar to what we did with Clarion with the finance department.
Mr. Mayor?
Let me go to the Vice Mayor. She asked first.
Okay.
If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. With that being said, I respectfully disagree with Steve, with the company. I guess I'm just old school. And yes, you have this company that you're with now, but the fact that they are miles away from the others is of a concern to me. And I just believe that it would be best to have fresh, non-subjective eyes look at this. Yes, one company may be more than the other, but when it's all said and done, I want you to tell me, how do you know that if this company costs $250,000, how do you know not in the end that company is going to end up saving us $600,000? So that's why I say, don't just look at the money. I'm not talking about being a fool, but don't just look at the money. Look at what the best value will be for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, based on quick math, we're looking at Cherry was 9% of the general fund budget for this year. Align was 8%, and Acclaim was 2%. How much do you want to spend based on this? Are you willing to use $400,000 from the Kroger money to do it?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
I'll answer it. Let's go through the slide. To evaluate effectiveness, efficiencies, compliance, operation against defined standards. To identify strengths, weaknesses, improvement, and opportunities in operation. Control systems, risk management, compliance, and performance. Processes, capabilities, potential improvements. More formal, structured, and objective. More collaborative, less formal, forward-looking. Based on predefined criteria, policies, and regulations. May use benchmarks, best practices, workflow, mapping, strategic recommendations. I can go down every one. On the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, I say, why aren't we doing that internally? That's what I'm saying. On this side, it's given us a benchmark, a base to go through. We have, I'll let you we have how many in contract and in consultants? What did we spend last year?
Putting me on the spot, I
15.9 million. I'll take that. 11.9 is, and our total tax base is 16 million. We have to get to a point and get enough information to where we organize our organizational chart, our people, train our people to where we're not spending the entire amount of money that we're bringing in taxes on consultants and contract people. And this is a defined approach. This is pretty holistic. This is holistic. I'm sorry, I am not in the category of let's just take a shotgun approach. We need a sniper approach here. We need to look at where it needs to be first. I can't tell you if this right-hand side will tell you if we're in compliance on HR. This will tell you if we're in compliance, where the risks are. This one won't. So I'm not going to answer the question. Do you think it's worth $400,000? Last meeting, and just that one thing, we had $600,000 and 300 and something thousand that we had to reallocate, right? Because we didn't know that we had interest to pay, and we didn't know what was needed we have to get the systems right. I love collaboration. First, we've got to find out where the stakes are that we have to look at, where the landmines are, what's going on. It's a systemic issue. I am not confident that the right-hand area would be a systemic change. It would be building on the systems that we probably are already using and not telling us what systemic changes have to be made.
Mr. Mayor, based on your answer and where I was going, I think we should do both. I think we should take the claim and have them do the assessment and then pick another one to do the audit that you're looking for.
I would agree with you, but I think that we ought to, instead of hiring somebody from the outside to come in and tell us how to fix it, hire people to come in on our staff that can be here and maintain it over a long period of time. If we're spending $15 million, we wouldn't spend that much on staff. Just as a side thing, 11.9 is Woodward and Curran, so you can take that out and say 4 million of it is what is everything else. Please.
Sure, John. So to his point, when we had the operational assessment of finance, didn't that find systemic issues that we were not paying certain things on time? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So when we did our assessment of the finance team, we found that we had not used the technology that we have paid for to do accounts payable, which backlogged on paying our vendors. We did not have a system in place for our fixed assets and caused part of the delay in the audit. We're implementing different things now. It was too late for the 2026 audit to get that going, our 25 audit, but it will be in place for our 26 audit so that it's a quick click and we can get that information over to the auditor sooner than later. Lots of technology issues, very manual, this is how we've always done it because this is where we've been forever. And how do we get to where we need to be for our growth at 26,000 now? And then in the assessment, what will we need as we continue to grow?
And can you go to the price chart again? Sure. Because I do think there is a happy medium of getting everyone no one's going to get exactly what they want. But from what Mr. Jaycock said, doing both, I would see doing the assessment of each department and then seeing if there is a department that we do need to do a full audit of. And I could see a benefit in doing that. And then to what the vice mayor said, it's not a huge price difference. And the Cherry one, have we ever had a relationship with them?
No, but they are well-known, and I did contact other agencies that have used them. That's where they said they did a very good job.
So I would be fine with doing an assessment first, using a company that we haven't used before, the Cherry company. I can't pronounce the second word.
Jerry Beckert.
Beckert. And then if there is a department that's needing of an audit, we can do a one-off audit. But I do think there's a happy medium where we can get everyone a piece. We're not all going to be perfectly happy, but I'm okay with giving up the Clarion in doing Cherry if that means that we would do the assessment first.
I would be fine with you all going out, and instead of people coming in with assessments, what I would be fine with is that you go back out again and stress that it's an audit and not an assessment. That's what I would be fine with.
Thank you.
I don't think we need the audits entirely. I think there might be a department or two that it would be worth spending the money on. However, I feel like otherwise we're just setting money on fire. And I'm okay with picking any one of the three to do the assessments. We were happy with the Clarion, so I don't know why we would rule them out when the $2 million price tag seems to be the outlier here. The other ones seem much closer together than that. But I get it, it's a different item entirely. The other ones, there's other options here that are spaced out. But I would be in favor of spending $2 million over 5 years for that. I think that would not be a good use of taxpayers' money.
Some of the things that are happening now, if the truth be known, aren't good uses of taxpayers' money, if the truth be known.
All right, well, this is just for information, correct?
In
And
direction,
direction?
if you would like to provide it, yes.
Direction, I would like to see some more internal audit, operational audit figures.
Okay.
You know, I don't care whether it's Deloitte, I don't care who it is, but there's more people around that do them than one, you know, two. And I would say, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We just came out of a series where we didn't know an audit wasn't turned in. We didn't know that we were 6 months behind in paying bills. We didn't know, and have we done some things about that? Yeah, but have we got right to the bottom of it? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I do know that if we have somebody that's licensed that comes in, they'll tell us how we compare to other people. They'll test it. They won't just say it. They'll have tests, and they'll have proof tests on all our controls, on all of our stuff. So my recommendation would be let's get some operational audit numbers in here.
Mayor, if I could for a moment, we did reach out to several. A lot of them, because it is an audit, it is over the $250,000, and they will not give us a proposal until we put it out for a full RFP. And we are happy to do that, and we will get more operational bids if we put it out for an RFP.
It'd be specifically for the audit, if that's what council's direction is.
And we may need to just take a vote. We could get started today or tomorrow and actually see if there are things that are wrong that need to be fixed, but.
Aren't we already seeing that, Mr. Stokowski?
We just had a finance part of this, and all 5 of us were ecstatic at the results. So I would just use that for each department. So if that's not, I think we may just have to take a vote, but I'm where Amy Jo is. I can't spend taxpayer dollars on an audit that.
That's a strong word, ecstatic. For me, I don't really recall being ecstatic over it. Just saying, for me. That's a strong word.
I was just taking from public comment and hearing what each of the council members said and congratulated the team. I would use
Not
that
everybody
word.
congratulated the team.
I think if we look back at the record at that meeting, all 5
Well,
members.
then, let's do that. Let's have a look and see.
I don't know that
I don't feel like that's,
relevant right now, but.
that might be a point of order, like, that's not even professional. Can we
Mr. Mayor,
Can we stay on track?
What is the point of order?
We're bickering.
That's not a point of order issue.
It usually is.
No, I'm sorry. You're calling a point, what order is, no.
Stop arguing. Be
Mr. Mayor, can we take a straw poll?
I do think we need to take a
for
poll.
audit and a straw poll for an assessment and see where we stand?
Sure. We can take that motion to do that, and if you'd like to do that. We can.
Okay, a motion to take a straw poll to figure out if we want to do an audit or an assessment.
Second? Second?
A second.
We have a second straw poll.
Okay, how many people are up for an audit? Okay, how many people are up for just doing an assessment?
I said do an assessment, and then if we find issues, we would do an audit.
Yes, I agree with
I
that.
think the 3 members want to do an audit and
So
spend the money
that's
on
where we're
that.
at.
So if that's the ruling, then I put my piece out there.
Okay, so now we have to get a consensus to have them put out an RFP, because it's over $250,000.
Correct.
So do we have a consensus to put an RFP out? I'm in consensus.
Yes.
Barbara? Steve? Okay. So we have a consensus to put an RFP out?
3 over 2, yes.
Excuse me, could I have clarification for the record? It's going to be a consensus for an RFP. Is that for an audit?
Yes.
Okay.
Operational audit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We'll move forward with procurement on an RFP for an operational audit for all departments.
Okay, next up is public comment.
Okay, Alan Joyce.
Alan Joyce, 17250 Heavens View Way, Groveland's Utility District. I came tonight to tell each of you thank you. Been on a journey for the past year and got to meet the council. And my government experience, some people want to be leaders to get power, to get status, to get money. And some people want to make a positive difference. And I've watched you guys over the past year, and you've listened to us. You've met privately with us. Some of you have met multiple times with us. I'm a little slow, but I really appreciate that you took the time, and I firmly believe you want to make a positive difference. Even this discussion you just had, you want the best for Groveland. And sometimes there's going to be split votes and stuff, but I think your hearts are in the right place, and I'm really thankful that Groveland has you guys. People don't recognize the sacrifice that each of you are making, and it's more than just sitting here tonight. It's the stuff that you review, the people you meet with, the places you go, and you're representing Groveland, and I just couldn't just let it go by without saying thank you. I really, really appreciate that you guys represent Groveland very well. And Vice Mayor Gaines is always the sharpest and the best dressed, and she makes me look terrible. But anyway, bottom line is I really appreciate the efforts that you guys have given to Groveland. And I've seen so many moving parts. It's like, I come from one issue, and then if you're here meeting after meeting, you realize, oh my God, there's just so many issues, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on, and I think you're heading in the right direction. And I can't also leave without saying Virginia is great at what she does, and Travis, sometimes I think he responds to my records request before I even hit the send button, so he is excellent. And I just, again, people don't recognize, people have their issues and stuff, but with everything that you guys got going on, thank you. And thanks for making a positive difference, and you're in it for the right reason. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Robin Hoover.
Robin Hoover, 1387 Ardmore Road, Groveland, Florida. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, staff, and neighbors. Once again, I'm here on behalf of PAC 551 and Troop 551 to invite everyone, both here at home as well listening, now or a later date and time, to join us at the Lake District Scouting America, along with our sponsor, American Legion Post 55 of Claremont, for a flag retirement ceremony. This year, the district will be doing 2 different ceremonies, one here in Groveland at 10 a.m. Once again, our local business owners, Dustin and Jamie Lowe of Lake Catherine Farms, have graciously donated their establishment to at 5849 Lake Catherine Road of Groveland with 34736. The ceremony will start at 10 a.m. Everyone is welcome to bring their worn, tattered, or tired flags to be given their last respects. This year, there will be a second on the North Lake County in Fruitland Park at 6 p.m. on the Community United Methodist Church, located at 309 College Avenue in Fruitland Park, 34731. So once again, all are invited, feel free, and I'll be sending out a official, please join us soon. I also have been asked on behalf of Miss Wilma Brown, the Secretary for the Groveland Historical Society, to read this tonight to you as well. Mayor, Council, and audience, I would like to give a shout out to Mike Walker, Francesca, Stephen, and Oscar from the Parks and Recreation Department. Francesca is our contact to Jason, the president, and to coordinate our historical events. Stephen is always willing to reserve the buildings for us for our events and always tells me to let him know if there's anything he can do to help. Oscar always is willing to help in any way that he can. Founders Day was a prime example of how we are helped. I had been corresponding with Dr. Dunn about bringing a tour group to our museum. He was supposed to be at the museum at 2 p.m. and he arrived late at 2:10 because I had not been to my high school reunion. She had not been there back to the museum yet. So he was not there. So she called him because he told me that they had been to the museum, but there were only a few chairs and that the museum was too small for the group. I told him that if he returned, I would find chairs and take care of his group and fit them into the museum. He said, I will get the bus driver to turn around and we'll be there in 10 minutes. We put out all the chairs that we had, but the students kept coming. I went to find Mike Walker to see if I could find some chairs in the Purrier building. He didn't hesitate and told the guys beside him to get chairs for her, and they did. Later, I told Jason that we needed to put the chairs back, but he informed me that the same guys took care of returning them. I really appreciate all the help that we could accommodate this group of students from Bethune-Cookman and Stetson University. We had a packed house, and it was very impressive to see this group of young students is interested in learning the history of Groveland. Respectfully submitted from Miss Wilma Rose Brown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helfrich. Thank you.
Is that a picture of you that you were taking?
You or us? It's you. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich. I live in the Clay Road District. Farm tip of the day. Now is the time you can put your summer crops into the ground, such as watermelon, black-eyed peas, sweet potatoes, peanuts, okra, and also, believe it or not, loofahs. Yes, loofahs grow like wild in Florida. In fact, believe it or not, when loofahs are green, they kind of look like zucchini. You can eat them, and I've been told they taste like cucumbers. Or you can wait until they are brown, strip their skin away, shake out the seeds, and you have an exfoliating scrubby for the shower. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, there is a farm in North Claremont, up near the Lake Ridge Winery. It is 7 acres, and it has 15 different gardens. 3 farmers work the farm, and they participate in what's called the crop share, which means whatever they plant, they share amongst themselves, and the yield, if it's more than they need, they give it to the community. The 15 different gardens are, as I will say right now, food forest, an 88 fruit-bearing tree orchard, a vineyard which produces roughly 40 to 60 pounds of muscadine grapes, a raised bed garden, a Monet garden when the flowers are in season, a pineapple patch, a blackberry patch, an herb garden, 2 shade gardens, to name a few. Once a month, this farm opens up to the public for a farm tour. It's roughly 90 minutes in length. It is a taste where everything in season is picked from the plants and eaten. Everything is organic, no pesticides, no herbicides, so the only competition you have is from the critters that live out there. It is also a teach. The whole concept behind this farm is to teach others how to grow their own food. The way to bring down grocery costs is to grow your own food. And it is a takeaway. All the trees, plants that are there are given away, most of them are given away to those who show up so that they can take them and grow themselves. This farm is not owned by anyone. It is the master farmer's children. The farm is borrowed from the master farmer's children and grandchildren. And the farm is appropriately named the Giving Farm. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich, candidate for State House District 25, and I reside on this farm. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
That's all.
That concludes. Okay, well then we'll get into our council member reports. Mr. Sikowski.
No report.
I have a PowerPoint presentation to give in my report.
Let me just have
So
you
do you
go
want-
last, okay?
Okay.
Amy, too.
Okay. Got a couple of things really quick. First, I'm going to go through the departments really quick and hit some highlights from the week. So communications began spreading the word about the District 5 huddle, which is next Thursday at 7 p.m. at Hope International, so I hope you all can be there. IT finalized the closed captioning system for in-room audience members per your building. So if you need that, you can get it on your mobile device now. Hit up our IT members. They can help you navigate how to do that. Community Development had a meeting with SECO to proactively join forces, aligning future development and infrastructure. Parks and Rec secured a county performer, or a Lake County performer, and a former American Idol finalist to sing the national anthem at South Lake Regional Park's grand opening. Police, Lieutenant Richie, it's Richie, right? I always say it wrong, sorry guys. And Sergeant Jarrell represented the department at the annual Back the Blue, and a young man named DJ, who is currently fighting cancer, was sworn in there by multiple agencies. Do you happen to know how many he was sworn in by this past weekend? No, not off the top of your head? I meant to look, but it was several. He has a goal to get sworn in, I think by it's a really high number, but he's getting really close at this point. So that's exciting. Public Works completed approvals for several projects, including the new Wawa at 27 and O'Brien Road. Finance created an easier budget format for 2027, so we're looking forward to that, to having that. The clerk's office attended the State of Florida Records Management and Public Agencies Training Session 3, and then Fire completed the Rapid Diver Tender Training, which is the person who's on land and controls the safety line. They talked about how they learn how they communicate with tug pulls, so that way they know what's going on with the diver in the water. It's super important. And that's it.
Your huddle coming up?
Yep, I said at the beginning, so District 5's huddle is next Thursday.
May 28th at 7 p.m. at Hope International Church.
I don't know how many of you all know that South Lake High School has partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and they build various houses in the various cities here in Lake County. But last week, the mayor and I attended the Habitat for Humanity house, I call it a housewarming. It was completed, and we were able to take a tour of it. It's all done with the high school, South Lake High School, construction students who work side by side with Habitat for Humanity. On Saturday, the mayor and I attended a phlebotomy graduation. There is a school at the Elise Tomlin Center, and it's a phlebotomy school. And the good news is that you do not have to have a high school education. I believe that it is an 8-week class, and you don't have to have a high school education to go to this school. The 21st will be the South Lake Regional Park opening. And if you're just looking for laughs and giggles, just come on out and watch me try to throw a ball. On the 22nd, there is a school, and the acronym is JETS, J-E-T-S. And they are a trade school opening here. They moved from Orlando to here, because not everybody wants to go to college. And with the phlebotomy, with the JETS, and all the different types of vocational opportunities that are here, just spread the word. Go look up JETS, J-E-T-S. Again, that open house is on the 22nd. On the 23rd, Groveland is going to have its memorial service for the vets. And I think that is at 9 o'clock. Then at 11 o'clock, TOVA, and I don't really know what TOVA stands for, but it's at Trilogy at the Magnolia House. They are going to pay tribute to our veterans. Everybody knows I'm big on small businesses. On the 29th, Michelle's Ice Cream will be celebrating their 2nd anniversary. So come out and support the small business and get some good ice cream. And then on the 30th is the wakeboard competition down at the dock. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mike? No, I'm going to go after you. I'm not going to let you have the last word.
Okay.
IT's pulling up the slides for you.
Before the slide presentation starts, for my other two councilmen, we can add in the RFP request that they give us a price for separate divisions. So we still can get RFPs, and we can, if we decide later to do individual ones, we can still do that because we'll have the numbers. And I don't think we need to change what we directed him for. It's just, hey, give us numbers for individual departments and then the whole thing. So I figured that would help the other two.
So itemized.
Yeah. Okay. Tonight I'm going to be talking about emergency dispatch regionalization. Now, this came up in August of 2025, and the police department, Chief Ramsey, gave us a presentation on that. At that time, I was not part of the government, so I didn't have too much to say what went on. But since that point, I've gone over the information that was in that presentation and come up with a little more information that maybe we should actually look at this again. Okay, opening with the problem. As a council, we talk a lot about growth and service delivery. Tonight, I want to talk about something that's quite costly. It's nearly $1 million a year, and it's getting worse. Our police dispatch operation. Our dispatch center is budgeted for $936,900 annually, and it's climbing. We had a turnover of 40% of the dispatch staff in 2025. Every departure costs us recruiting, training, lost institutional knowledge, and overtime on the remaining staff. This is not structural. This is not a one-time problem. It will keep repeating unless we change the model. The Lake County Sheriff's Office option is already on the table. This is not a new idea. Our own police department brought to us on August 4th of a workshop in 2025. We already know the numbers. Groveland own analysis found that Lake County Sheriff's Office had offered to take over our police dispatching for approximately $300,000 a year. Our current costs are $936,900. This is a potential savings of $636,900 every single year. This is not a one-time fix. The question was raised in August 2025 at a council meeting, and it didn't go anywhere. So based on this, we're going to ask the police department to come back to us in 60 days, adding this information in and maybe finding out more information for us to go forward. Okay. Groveland is not ahead of the curve. It's an outlier. Every other city in Lake County uses Lake County Sheriff's Office dispatch. Every one except Leesburg and Groveland. Groveland is one of the only two holdouts, and we are by far the most expensive. The Lake County Sheriff's Office dispatches 12 Lake County cities. Howie in the Hills pays $21,000 a year for this service. Groveland pays $336,900 on its own every year for the service that we provide ourselves. This is not a rounding area. This is a structural failure. Groveland's own fire department is already using Lake County's emergency 911. We are not being asked to do something experimental. We're being asked to catch up with every other city in our county. Our residents are paying twice. This is a fairness issue. Here, that does not get discussed enough. Groveland residents are funding the Lake County Sheriff's Office dispatch in their taxes to Lake County. We are also paying taxes to Groveland for the same service. So we're being double taxed. The smaller cities push back on Lake County's request for fees. Most of the cities are getting this service free from Lake County. So the $300,000 was Lake County's first shot at us. We can probably negotiate a lower number. The fire department has already proves this works. We do not need to guess whether Lake County Dispatch works for Groveland. We already know our fire trucks, paramedics are dispatched by Lake County Emergency 911 right now, today. The Groveland Fire Department is dispatched from the 911 on our own city webpage, and where they're using the GPS closeout unit system. Lake County already knows our streets, our stations, our response geography. If we trust Lake County to dispatch the people who respond to fires and cardiac arrests, the case for spending $900,000 on a separate dispatch is very hard to make. Let's talk about the fiscal picture here. This is about whether we are managing the city's finances for growth cycles. Are we not planning for one? Residential permits are down 47% this year. Commercial permits are down 71% this year. The utility debt obligations are escalating significantly beginning in 2027. $360,000 plus a year is real money, staffing, reserve, debt coverage. We should not leave it on the table. And unlike grants and one-time windfalls, this is a recurring savings. Every single year it will go forward. Now, we're asking for a motion. We're asking for a motion that the City Council direct the Police Department to update its dispatch regionalization analysis, obtain formal written cost proposal from Lake County, and return to the county within 60 days with a complete decision-ready recommendation, including cost comparisons, service levels, transition timeline, and employment impact assessment. Also with that, you might want to have the city manager help you out and do a little negotiation on that, on the fee that they asked for. Thank you.
I think you have to have a consent. We can't do a motion because it wasn't on the agenda. You can have a consent to, let's put it on the agenda to vote on it, or a consent for you and the acting city manager and the police chief to get together and get all this down on paper so we have something that's kind of a scope of what we really need, and then bring it back.
Yes, I am asking for a consent to instruct the city manager, to instruct the police chief to do as such as I explained.
Okay. The consent?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So when I think it's been done a few times that I've watched it, and one of the components that comes up, I think each time, is the sheriff's office says, yes, come to us, this is how much it will be, but then we can't do this until next year or the following year. So if we do this analysis, that would be one of the items I would ask is, how quickly would the sheriff's office be ready to ready up and then take our service? Because I think that was one of the reasons why the council said no last year or the previous year, because it was like they were planning that budget season, and then they were like, well, this is great, but it won't take effect for 2 budgets from now. So then it kind of crumbled. So I would just, they may now be staffed up, but I think last year their issue was they didn't have the staff to take on another city of our size for a year or 2 years.
One little tidbit is this is now a Florida law to sit there and regionalize all the dispatch. So they went to each county and said, hey, you need to offer this to all your cities, okay? I don't know about that. I kind of remember it kind of like died on the vine and didn't get a motion at all. So I don't know if that ever came up for discussion because there was no motion for that.
I would just reiterate that also, we didn't have a good plan for what we would do with the people that were there. And that was a big part of the conversation. I don't know that that's law. I mean, if you got information I don't, I know that they were trying to bring to the floor a mandatory counties operate all 911s to kind of bring everything under. But the information I got is it never got to the floor and they were going to bring it back next time. But it is something because when you have different components where you have fire going one place, police going another, EMS going somewhere else, it's a real issue that the state's trying to resolve. So.
Okay, you're talking about a different law. What I'm talking about is the Florida passed a law to say that the counties have to offer the service.
Yeah. Well, this
the
was
law
to
you're
make
talking
it,
about
this was to
definite.
make it definite.
Yeah.
That they were trying to put through this year.
But I agree with that. I've had conversations with the city manager about looking on LinkedIn and stuff like that, and there was at least 6 offerings from other places that were hiring people, and they were paying more than us. So there are jobs out there and stuff like that. So
very good. Is that your only PowerPoint tonight?
that would be my only,
Is that, we got your consensus?
Yep,
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay,
Okay.
good, thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. I just have a few things, and yes, the things we attended this week were absolutely dramatic as far as the phlebotomy class, to have people get a certificate without having to leave, take their dreams outside of Groveland. They can have them done right here, and it was an amazing, amazing class. I also had the opportunity to just this afternoon attend the Missy Frana's last graduation for the middle school, and such bright kids, and what a band they had over there playing jazz. It was unbelievable, all middle school people. I'd like to throw this out to see if there's any traction on putting a workshop together just on the charter. Just on the charter, for us to get our ideas out. There's a lot of conversations going on around this and that. I have a few as far as moving of funds. I think the charter needs to be changed where somebody can't move $250,000 at a time, here and there, because it doesn't say how many times you can do that a year, and there's issues that I think we need to really not change but tighten up quite a bit in order to have the controls that I think that we all would want to see. I just want to say too, with the group, having a difference of opinion is valuable. If we all agreed, we wouldn't all need to be here. And no creative solutions come out of everybody agreeing. And so I really appreciate the diversity of opinions up here and what's going to come out of it. They have the Veterans Breakfast on the 23rd here in this building at 9 to 10:30. I have a list of 35 veterans that have said that they would be here. I'm calling them each personally. I am looking at some veterans. I saw one earlier that aren't on the list. And so if you know of any Groveland veterans that I should be calling to invite to that breakfast, please, please let me know very soon so I can reach out to them, because we'd really appreciate them being here, and for the ceremony after out here in the Memorial Park would be very good. We also have the Boy Scouts going out and putting the flags out on Monday at 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock on the 25th. And so if anybody wants to participate, I really hope we can get some veterans. I'm going to appeal to them because it makes so much more of a valuable experience when the kids are with the veterans, where they can talk and they can talk about what Memorial Day is like and what it's for. I have asked a lot of students what Memorial Day is, and it's the first day of summer. And, I think that getting the two groups together would be great. So anything we can do to influence that would be outstanding. Again, the huddle is important that's coming up. A lot of good information is going to be covered there, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions from the public. So please, please make sure everybody that knows about it. And you don't have to be from that region, that particular district, to come and ask questions. We just do one in each district. So if you have a lot of questions, that's the place to really get some answers, because we're not under parliamentary procedure. We don't have the strict guidelines. We can say, hey, what do you think? What do you think? And we can talk it right in front of you. And it's I think it's the most effective communication we have personally with the public. So please, Hope International on the 28th at 7. Until whenever.
Oh, we're done. In the sanctuary, in case that helps.
City Manager, do you have anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I emailed my report to you earlier today. Happy to answer any questions or if you have any feedback on that report. Speaking of charter amendments, Mr. Mayor, I just want to remind the group that is the second item on your workshop this Thursday. Thursday's fairly jam-packed. We have several items on the workshop just to make sure that we're all aware of it. You have the Building Blocks Ministries Cookbook collaboration, an exciting project there. I look forward to learning more on that. But then you also have the Councilmember Jay Cox presenting those proposed charter amendments. I'm not sure if we want to keep that on this agenda or look at an additional workshop. I'd look to you, Mayor, and the council for if you want to schedule an additional workshop specifically for charter amendments.
I think we can flush a lot out and get people talking at that one, but I think it's going to require a longer period of time to go through that and say, and to look at that charter and get it where we are. We've learned a lot this year, and I think we've got to apply what we've learned on that charter. I'd also like to make sure that we are reaching out to former members of that committee to ask them why they made certain decisions, because we don't know. They debated everything. I saw it, and I'd really like to have for some meeting, I mean, why did you think this way? Why did you do it that way? Why did you do it this way? So that at least we have that, and respect their deliberations and have that in front of us as well.
We also have a presentation on the future City Hall location analysis, City Council meetings. Been some discussion in terms of how to make our meetings more efficient, so we'll get into the agenda structure. We won't have Mr. Geller there, but Ben, who's there in the audience, you've all met Ben. He'll be there in attendance with a presentation to provide for your review. We also have a special discussion and presentation from the city's insurance provider on risk management. This is going to give you an idea in terms of what our policy looks like, our coverage, areas, deductibles, what we're expecting in terms of next year's budget, but then also better understanding our fiduciary responsibilities as a council. And again, you'll have been there in attendance from the legal side of that. We also have an update from Human Resources on various recruitment efforts, such as the permanent city attorney and permanent city manager positions. And then we also have, which I'm excited about, from IT, they'll be presenting our new project management tracking system, which we've been talking about for a while now. So that will be this Thursday. And you also have at 5:30 on the same day on Thursday, the opening for South Lake Regional Park. Very excited about. And I just want to commend Mike Walker for working with a deadline, delivering this. It won't be completely finished when you come in on Max Hooks Road, just to set expectations there. This will be, I joke with him that this is a soft opening of only several thousand ball players that will play between Thursday and Sunday. But then we'll have additional time after the tournament to complete the whole project and do a larger, grander opening for the public.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
No report, but I think the city clerk wanted to just verify for the record that we did have consensus on Councilmember Jay Cox's ordinance.
No one said no, but I didn't hear anybody say yes, so I needed
Okay.
formal consensus.
I don't think everybody spoke on it, so I think that was.
May I clarify the consensus? It is for the city manager and the chief of police to work on the recommendations for the dispatch, and that is due within 60 days. Is that correct?
That was what the proposal was, and you asked for consensus.
Yes.
And did we not say yes? So, yes?
I was okay with it.
Yeah, I was okay? No. Okay, we have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it for me.
Well, have fun in China. Be careful, okay? Be very careful.
Will do.
Thank you.
One thing, quickly. Something, and I'll just put it on the record. I just found out my nephew's graduating on Thursday in the afternoon, so I may have to, I'll work with you on figuring out how to be at both. So.
Okay, adjourned. Thank you all.